Can you imagine getting muted in the intro? What a disaster. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel for everything Arsenal and everything football. And welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Tip Show. And I have the FPL Graduates back again. I think this is the fourth time. I really appreciate you guys. Hi, Josh.
Yeah, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good. Not after you guys won your game yesterday, of course. Hi, Ben.
Oh, hi. How you doing? I'm buzzing to be back on.
Awesome, and I can see you rocking. That's a Barcelona shirt, right?
It is a Barcelona shirt, looking rather nice after their win in the Champions League. So thought I'd rock it. Thought I'd give it a go.
Yeah, man. Let's get into the game week 5 review. Josh, how did it go for you?
It went quite well. I made 3 transfers after game week 4. So I had 2 free ones and then took a hit for a -4 because KDB was out injured. Scored 63, 60 was the average. Bruno captain, he returned at 22. So yeah, it was quite good considering I haven't wildcarded, that's for sure.
How about you, Ben? I know you played your wildcard.
Yeah, I played my wildcard and I think it was a good time for me to play it. Ended up getting 80 points for the game week. Harry Kane Masterclass 32-pointer. And looking at my team that I've got now for my wildcard compared to before the international break, I say it's a great decision I've made and I'm thoroughly happy with my team this week.
The exact 80 points, exact same. Josh, who did you captain?
Bruno Fernandes.
Was that your plan all along through the international break?
I didn't really know because I wanted to see who played. Obviously, there was the whole COVID outbreak with the Portuguese squad. But I just fancied him. I found that Man United, obviously, they lost 6-1 to Spurs. I knew they were going to bounce back. They're not going to play like that again. Obviously, he missed that penalty, which weren't great, but he managed to get the returns in the end. And a 22-pointer on Saturday, I would definitely take that.
Yeah, without wasting any time, let's get into our FPL focus for the weekend. You're going to focus on Aston Villa. Man, they're doing very good, and there are fixtures that are coming up. They could actually be top of the table by December, something like that. So, Josh and Ben, I'm going to ask you about 6 players. And we're going to start with the one and only Grealish. Your thoughts on Grealish, Josh?
Yeah, I have him in my FPL team. Obviously, he didn't return the week just gone against Leicester, but he's literally everything goes through him in that Aston Villa team. He's a fantastic player. I can see him moving to a top 6 team very soon, and he'll be one of the best players in the world, I reckon. His dribbling, his passing, his movement, it's all elite quality. He's owned by about 23% of managers at the minute, which shows you how well he's playing. 7.2 million, his price is only going up. I've got him in, like I said. I can see him returning this week against Leeds.
Are you surprised that he didn't end up joining Tottenham last season?
Yeah, he was linked to a whole host of top 6 clubs, but I think having another season in Villa after he's kept them up, basically, I think that's a good decision, and I think he'll learn a lot more, and then he'll gain that experience, that Premier League experience that he needs.
How about you, Ben? Grealish must have.
I think Josh is overhyping him a bit too much because he's in his team, to be perfectly honest. He's a great player, don't get me wrong, but he is the sort of player that is very explosive, but you can also expect him to get quite a few blanks. He's not going to be a consistent point scorer, in my opinion. I think he's that sort of player that you bring in and bring out in little 3-week spells where he's on absolute fire, because I can't see his form lasting forever because there is quality in that Aston Villa team. And there's potential for other players to get in on that point scoring act.
So I can see this season so far, he does have 38 points and he's owned by 23.4%, and he's risen 0.2 since the start of this season. So, Ben, are you trying to get him in, or you're not? He's not in your radar as of now.
He's not on the radar for me personally. I think, to be honest, having a defensive Aston Villa asset is probably a better option to go for at this current point in time, because they look so solid at the back. And going forward, we saw how good they were against Liverpool, but that was a lot of mistakes from Liverpool's right side. No Henderson covering Trent. So I think we can see that Villa will not concede that many this season.
Yeah. Josh, you're keeping him, last question, you're keeping him in your team, right?
Yeah, I brought him in the week just gone. He got a 3-pointer. I don't expect him to return every week. For his price, he's around 7 million. So if he returns once in every 3 weeks, I'll take that.
Awesome. The second player is Ross Barkley. I was actually quite surprised that he's only 5.9 million. 20 points already this season, and those 20 points actually came from playing Liverpool twice. Remember, he played Liverpool at Chelsea, and he also played Liverpool with Aston Villa. So tough games against the Liverpools and the Leicesters, and he's managed 20 points. He's still owned by just 2.5%. Ben, is he a differential?
He is a differential, but it wouldn't be one that I'd choose personally. I think he got 11 points just from that Leicester game where there was one goal in the game. It was a really good effort from him. Can I see him returning every week? Can I see him returning as frequently as Jack Grealish? Maybe not, but he is still a good budget option, a budget enabler if you don't have those sorts of funds for Jack Grealish.
Do you think he's going to play every single game for Villa?
I think with the quality he has, I think he has to play a lot of minutes and he has to be starting for that Villa team. But obviously they've got a lot of midfield options. They've got the likes of Trezeguet, McGinn in and around those spots. So he could be rotated out when Villa have like cup fixtures midweek or something like that.
And Josh, is he one guy that you've considered or nah?
For me, I think it'd be quite a frustrating asset to own. Like you saw in the Liverpool game, probably could have scored a hat-trick realistically with the chances he missed. Obviously, he got that good goal against Leicester, don't get me wrong, but I'm in the same boat with Ben. I don't see him returning every week. And I think for that extra million, you'd probably rather have Jack Grealish, especially considering he's quite high-owned as well.
If you were to play your wildcard today, would you bring in Barkley, yes or no?
No, for me. I'd probably look at McGinn, if I'm honest, rather than Barkley.
Oh, wow. So Barkley, for you, Ben, yes or no?
It's gonna have to be a no from me as well. I'm gonna have to pass up on Ross Barkley.
Well, I'm quite surprised. These fixtures, Leeds at home, they have Southampton at home, Brighton at home, they have Newcastle at home, Burnley at home, Crystal Palace, West Brom in the next 10 fixtures. I'm actually tempted to actually triple up on them, but we'll see. The third one is going to be Watkins. I'm going to start with you, Josh. Watkins, your thoughts on him so far?
Yeah, he's obviously played well against Liverpool. Didn't really get much service in that Leicester game, and I think that'll be the main issue if you own him, is how much service is he going to get. Aston Villa seem like they're strong defensively and they have their whole team defending. So whether he will get a lot of chances and whether he can take them is a different question. Obviously, a great striker and very proven in the Championship with Brentford. But it's good to see if he can bring it to the Premier League and hopefully maybe to the England squad later on in the year.
Ben, were you tempted to bring him in as soon as he scored that hat-trick against Liverpool?
I saw him score the hat trick, and I was like, "That's mad." He's come on, had his first Premier League goal against Liverpool, second and third against Liverpool as well. Whether I would think about getting him, I think in terms of my squad structure and how my assets are set out, he actually doesn't fit into the team. He's a bit too expensive to be part of my like 4.5 million option, which I have, but he's not quite premium enough to be challenging the likes of Calvert-Lewin or Harry Kane for a starting spot in my squad.
So is that a no for you?
I'd say it's another no from me.
Well, these guys are mean. All those guys are yeses for me. Let me get. Also, him is only owned by 4.6%, so it could be a real differential. Three other players, one of them the pictures refused to load up. So Martinez, Josh Martinez, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, Ben will love me saying this, but he's obviously probably one of the best signings of the summer. You have to be said. He's owned by nearly 25% of managers, which is crazy. Obviously, he kept 3 clean sheets in their first 4, which is really good numbers. He's a great shot stopper. You might see some penalty save points. He loves saving the penalty. He's risen quite a lot. He's nearly 5 million now. So if you're going to get him, you really need to get him now.
I was really about to get him on my wildcard, but since you've talked about that, he went up like 0.3. I just couldn't sell someone for 4.5 and get him. So if he was still 4.5, I would have gotten, because being that he also knows how to play from the back and all the passes and the bonus points, and I can actually see him getting an assist or 2 this season. I don't know about you, Ben. Have you considered him? Do you have him? Yeah, right.
I'm absolutely kicking myself that I didn't put him in my team at the start of the season. He was in my draft at the start of the season from the get-go, and it was just the fact that we weren't sure whether he was going to go to Villa or whether he was going to stay at Arsenal. And that was a deciding factor. Personally, the signing of the summer. Probably top. You know, I'm going to be biased about it. Best keeper in the league, straight up. And I can't believe I've not put him in because he's like gone up 0.3. He's really tough to fit into my team now as well. So it's frustrating that I'm not owning him, but with the keepers I've got, I can rotate them and hopefully they can try and keep up with the points that Martinez is getting right now.
I actually can't disagree with him being the best goalkeeper in the league, but maybe the top 3. Josh, is he the best goalkeeper?
It's a long shot, that's for sure. I think Alisson is a joke of a goalkeeper, so he's definitely number 1. Edison as well, you know, both of them are unreal. You can't put it past them.
Yeah.
But he's definitely up there. Don't get me wrong, he's a great shot stopper. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. I probably wouldn't get him in even if I did wildcard now. I think McCarthy and Matt Ryan's fixtures, they rotate brilliantly throughout the whole season. I think they only face a top 6 team 3 times throughout the whole of the 38 or something stupid like that. So having an easy fixture every week in goal, you're just going to take that no matter what, really. I think they'll keep up with him.
Awesome. If you had to play a wildcard, Ben, would you get him? Right? You would.
Well, I'd try to, but that's the thing. I don't want to be ideally spending more than 9 million on both my goalkeepers. So that's where it was difficult because he'd already gone up in price. So I was kind of a bit gutted that I couldn't get him in. But if I could get him in, I definitely would.
What about you, Josh?
I like McCarthy and Ryan. They haven't let me down yet, so I don't see why I should change it if it ain't broke yet.
So far, Josh, for the Aston Villa assets, Josh is 0 out of 4 and Ben is 1 out of 4. The fifth one is going to be Cash. Now, this guy, Matty Cash, I didn't know much about him, and I still haven't really seen him play that much to really impress me. I don't know. Josh, have you seen anything from Cash? Because they're talking about him being one of the best defenders at Aston Villa right now.
Yeah, he's like an attacking fullback. He got a lot of goals and assists for Nottingham Forest when before he joined Aston Villa in the Championship. He's probably the most attacking one out of the 3 centre halves, like despite corners from like Konsa and Mings. So you could see some attacking returns. The main issue with him is that he's 5 million, like Tyrone Mings, whereas you can get into that defence at 4.6 with Konsa and 4.5 with Target. So it's whether if you got the spare money, it might be worth it putting it into him. But obviously people like to keep the cheapest asset, so it's up to them really. Ben, Cash.
Yeah, I can't disagree really with Josh. He's bang on the money there with the fact that he is just that little bit more expensive than the likes of Konsa and Target, and they're getting the same amount of points. So having that 0.5 million, you can use that elsewhere. And yeah, having a Villa defender is a great option. I didn't put him in my wildcard stupidly because I didn't know whether they're going to continue this form that they're in and whether this is just form or whether this is something that's going to continue throughout the season, which is starting to look like they're going to be quite good defensively over the rest of the season, really.
Now, this might be the most obvious pun you'll ever hear, but Josh, is Cash worth the cash?
For me, I wouldn't go for him. I'd go for a cheaper one, maybe Konsa or Target, just to save those funds.
Awesome. And the final Aston Villa player we're going to talk about is Mings. Ben, I'm going to start with you now. They've kept some clean sheets that came from nowhere, actually. So would you try and get one of their defenders? Currently, I actually have Target.
I would try and get one of their defenders in, but it wouldn't be Tyrone Mings, unfortunately. He is, again, just that little bit more expensive. I personally don't really like him as a player. Like I've seen him play before, and he doesn't get on well with the Reading fans, let's just say. So, not much more I can really say about that, to be honest.
Josh, no for you too?
Mings is a no for me. I'd definitely go with Konsa. I've been looking at getting him in on my free transfer this week. Konsa, I think he's the better pick of the two. I think he's got probably a higher ceiling than Mings as well. He's a young defender, 4.6 as well, 7% owned. He's already going up in ownership. So if you're getting on these Aston Villa defenders, you need to do it ASAP because they're going to rise a lot in price.
Yeah, you guys are getting some love in the chat. Solomon, Duff, RK Sweetie, Toby says Josh got an absolute bank as well. Toby, thanks. Yeah, I can see you, Ben. I went with Bale over Kane Son on my wildcard and captured him. Just even before getting to the next topic, Ben, Bale, was it too early to go for him?
Very much too early to go for him. He is not. I don't get why people are going Bale over Son. He's 0.5 million more and unproven so far in the Premier League. He hasn't played for like a year, and you already know that Son's banging form. So why wouldn't you get Son in? And maybe they thought that Bale would come straight in and hit the ground running. Obviously, he had that great chance in the last game against West Ham and didn't take it, completely fluffed it. So it could have been a good choice to go for, but of course he missed that big opportunity.
Yeah, Lewis, as usual, team of an agenda.
Stupid.
Thank you, Chris Switchy, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. So the next topic I want to talk about, Josh, I'll start with you. 3 players that are on your watch list between now and game week 8.
Game week 8. So I'm gonna get my most biased one last. I think that's gonna be a good topic to talk about. I'm gonna go with Harry Kane first because the guy is playing unreal. He's the top assister, scoring goals. If Son scores, he assists. If he scores, Son assists. A double up is more than warranted, in my opinion. Another one that's just crept onto my radar is Sergio Aguero. He's the cheapest he's ever been in FPL. He's 2% owned. The guy will score goals. He's on penalties. If De Bruyne comes back, I might even look at getting him, Aguero, over De Bruyne, because I feel like he's going to score goals this season at City team. They seem quite creative, so he's definitely one to look out for. And if he plays well in this week ahead, I would definitely have to look at him. And then my final pick is going to be Alex Telles at 5.5 million. He played unbelievable against PSG when he had minutes. He averaged 10 crosses a game for Porto. That is 5 more than Trent Alexander-Arnold got last season. Fair enough, it's in a weaker league, but I think it shows the ability of him, and that if this United team play as well as they can do, obviously it's a big if, but he's one to watch out for, and definitely for 5.5 million, I think that could be a steal.
Ben, who are your 3?
So the 3 players on my watch list, it's not players that I've got in my team at the moment, but the first one is Kilman of Wolves. He is 4.1 million, a really cheap option, and has already got 21 points this season. The concerning factor was whether he's going to start. He's started the past 2 games and he's played phenomenally well. You see the squad all backing him in the post-match press conferences, and if he keeps getting the minutes, he's going to be a must-have and an easy swap from Mitchell, who potentially isn't getting any more minutes now. Van Aanholt is back. My second player is Aaron Cresswell of West Ham. He's 5 million, 29 points already this season, 3 assists already in a team that's actually looking pretty solid at West Ham. I wrote him off at the start of the season, and they've basically proven me completely wrong, and I'll hold my hands up to that. They look like a solid and resilient team this season, but I wouldn't get him until they get these 2 difficult fixtures out of the way. They've got a couple of really difficult fixtures coming up, but after that, I think he's definitely a must-have to get in. And my last one, and Josh is going to love this one as well, it's Marcus Rashford of Manchester United. At 9.5 million, 26 points, he just looks like he's about to hit the form that we all know he can produce. He got a goal and a couple of assists last game week. He scored against PSG, don't forget that. And remember, Bruno Fernandes has missed 2 penalties in a row. So for me, I think Rashford's going to be put onto penalties. First double-digit return. Surely he's going to be on penalties now, and surely he's going to be banging more points than Bruno now.
In game week 1, Ben really tried to convince me to get in Greenwood, which I avoided, and now he's trying to convince me to another my new player. I was actually thinking about Rashford. I've actually been really thinking about him, but I actually checked their fixtures, and they have Chelsea and a really tough fixture against Arsenal after that. So I'm not expecting. Okay, I'm actually expecting him to get goals in both. So he can actually be
against the bigger teams, though, don't they?
Definitely.
We've seen
especially at Old Trafford. Yeah.
they turn against Tottenham.
Josh
They
must be
didn't.
really happy hearing this. Look at Josh just
Loving
hearing
it,
this and
loving
like,
it.
what? Okay, so for the game week fixtures, which fixtures are you looking forward to most, Josh? In terms of FPL, which games will you be watching most? There's United against Chelsea. There's Villa against Leeds. Southampton against Everton. Brighton against West Brom.
Yeah, there's a good few games, especially FPL wise this weekend. I think Salah at home to Sheffield United is going to be very interesting. Sheffield United look a little bit better. They're starting to get going a bit now. They've made their new signings and they've started to embed. Obviously, Salah at home, the guy almost always returns at home, so he's a definite captain choice as well. But obviously Liverpool got a few injuries. Obviously Van Dijk's now out for probably the rest of the season. It's going to be interesting to see if they can readjust as a squad and come together to be a good unit again. I think Everton Southampton's going to be another interesting one as well, because obviously Everton banging form. They're playing absolutely brilliantly at the minute. Southampton almost likewise, with Danny Ings scoring goals left, right and centre. Obviously got that draw against Chelsea. So yeah, some good games.
Ben?
Yeah, so the two fixtures I've got written down are literally the two Josh has just said, which is
sorry, boy.
I'm going to go over them anyway. Liverpool Sheffield United is going to be a big one for FPL points. I feel like the front three all came off at 59 minutes against Ajax tonight, so that means Klopp is focusing hugely on this game on Saturday. May not seem big now, but for Klopp, obviously, it's very important. Sheffield United have looked poor this season, and they could be exploited. Is it time now for Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson to get those massive points that we know that they can do? Well, and we've seen this season, Salah's had the most touches of any player in the Premier League in the opposition box. So that time that he puts them away against Sheffield United. And then my other game, Southampton against Everton. Hassan Hüttl's really high defensive line against a fully rested James Rodriguez could be an FPL manager's dream. It could be very tasty. Ings as well, as we've seen, is in great form. He's scoring just constantly. So a game like that, it could go either way. And I'm fascinated to watch both these games this weekend.
Some good shouts. So since Liverpool and Sheffield, it looks like every one of those front three will get a bunch of points. Let's get into the captain picks for the week. I'll start with you, Ben. Who are your top? Okay, your top three captains and one differential.
So my top three captains, I'd say you've got to go Mohamed Salah of Liverpool, Harry Kane of Tottenham, and Heung-min Son of Tottenham as well. Both teams in really good form, and both have really nice fixtures. In the last game week, Burnley, who are facing Tottenham, and Sheffield United, who are obviously facing Liverpool, both of those teams last week conceded 10 plus shots to newly promoted teams. So if they're conceding that many shots to teams that have just come up from the Championship, how many shots are they going to concede against an informed Tottenham team going forward, especially, and Liverpool, who we know how dangerous they are with their front three. So for me, those are the three captain picks that I think everyone will be going for this week. I don't think there's too many others outside of those three that really you should be looking at.
Josh?
Yeah, I agree with all three of those. Obviously, they're great choices. I'd say Calvert-Lewin also against Southampton is also a very, very good option. The guy doesn't stop scoring, and he's sort of maybe even gone under the radar a little bit because he's just been consistent and he's just kept scoring, which is also a good captain pick. And I feel like if you're feeling, a bit brave, and if you have him, of course, I think Aguero against West Ham is also an interesting choice, a little differential. West Ham conceded 3 against Spurs. Man City are probably a better creative side than Spurs. So I think Aguero or any Man City asset, Mahrez, one of those guys, I think is also a valid shout.
You think Aguero will start 3 games in a row in a week?
I don't think they've got much other options to be honest. They don't have Gabriel Jesus back yet, so it's him or nothing really.
Awesome. And let's get into your differential of the week. I'll start with you, Josh. One differential of the week. Who will score the most points and his ownership is low?
So I'm going for, it's going to be, I bet you don't even know him, to be honest. It's going to be Pascal Struich from Leeds. He's a £4 million defender, 2% owned. Calvin Phillips is injured this weekend, so he will not be playing for Leeds. So it's Bielsa has said that Struich will be coming into the side to play in midfield. So he's out of position defender in that Leeds midfield. If he gets a clean sheet, he could obviously need some attacking returns because he's playing in the midfield of Bielsa. So outside the box, if you're doing a wild card, I don't see why not to get him in. But also, obviously, Kilman is around that price. So good little pick.
Ben?
Yeah, so my gem of the week is someone a bit more familiar to FPL fans, and that's Sergio Aguero. As we talked about earlier, Aguero is 2% owned. It's ridiculously low. The lowest price he's ever been on FPL, as we've already said. He's back from injury. Tonight, he didn't play the full 90. He only played 60 minutes. And for a premium differential, this is the best option to go for if you want to massively boost your overall rank. Obviously, it's a risk you've got to take because he may not play the full 90 minutes, but I think he's definitely a sure starter in that Pep side because they've got no one else up front. And yeah, that'll be my gem.
So Ben, are you looking to save your transfer? Have you already made a transfer this week, or which players are you targeting for this week?
So I was on my wild card. So from that, I'm happy with what I've got. Don't need to make any transfers really. If I'm thinking about and making transfers 1 week after my wild card, that seems pretty pointless to me. So I'll just bank my transfer, see how my team does in the week. If I've got any injuries or anyone that's out of favour out of the team, then I've got 2 transfers to make changes how I see fit.
Josh, you're not in the same boat with the wildcard boat. So what are you looking at?
Yeah, so obviously I made 3 transfers last week, so that was quite a big change to my team. But I'll be taking out Chris Basham after his 4-point return the weekend just gone. He's got Liverpool and Man City up next in his next 2 games, so he's definitely going to be on the bench for that. So I'll be taking him out for any defensive asset. I've got £8 million budget, so I can literally get anyone in. So I'm looking at the likes of Alex Telles, Conser, a Villa defender, maybe even Lucas Digne at Everton. So I've got a lot of options. It's just going to be a case of seeing press conferences and just doing a bit of research, really.
Okay, so let's get into the final questions before we end it. Ben, do you think Jimenez will score this week?
Good question. Very good question. And I think he will score. I think coming up against a team like Newcastle, defensively they didn't look great against United for the last 20 minutes of a game. So we can see that they gas out. They maybe haven't got the fitness there that is needed, and Jimenez could take advantage of that. He's a proven goal scorer in the Premier League. He hasn't had the best start of the season, but he's still returning and still getting goals. So I think he will score against Newcastle this week. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't score.
Awesome. Josh, Mope against West Brom, yes or no?
I think if you've got him, definitely keep him. The guy's been in unreal form since the start of the season. West Brom's defence looks terrible. So, yeah, if you've got him, definitely use him. And I could definitely see him returning maybe 1 or 2 goals in that game.
I'll stay with you. 3 players that will definitely score this weekend.
3 players. I'm going to Mo Salah, Harry Kane, and DCL.
Ben?
I'm going to go Mo Salah again. I'm going to say, I don't want to be the same as Josh. I'm going to say Harry Kane. And I'm going to say an outside the box pick, purely because he's in my team, Jorginho. He's going to score a penalty.
What is that?
That's too out of Josh, any outside of the box pick for you?
Good question. I'm going to say Cavani. If he starts, he'll score this weekend.
Josh has been really into Manchester United today. Huh? a couple of wins against Newcastle and PSG, and everything looks rosy again. Ben, which game will have the most goals this weekend?
The most goals this weekend? The Liverpool game, I'm going to say, against Sheffield United.
Josh?
I'm going to go Everton, Southampton. I can see that being quite high scoring. Both of them conceding goals as of late.
I'm actually going to go Aston Villa and Leeds. Any team that you're avoiding this week, Josh?
Probably the usuals, the Fulhams, the West Broms. I still have Mitrovic because I just don't really want to take. He's got some good fixtures coming up, so I don't really want to take him out at the minute. He's like one of the top players for touches or shots in the box, so he's getting those chances. Just needs to bury him, and I think if I give him time, he's definitely going to do that. He's a proven goal scorer.
Ben?
In terms of this weekend, stay away from Sheffield United and Newcastle, maybe. I can't see them keeping a clean sheet against Wolves. They started looking a bit better, Wolves, recently. So those are two teams I'd say.
Awesome. And last question, Josh, what's your target in terms of points this weekend with your team? How many points do you expect them to score?
All I aim for really is the average every week. If I can get more than the average, I class that as a good game week. So especially not wildcarding yet, I'll be happy with a average score around 50, 60, I'd say.
Ben?
Anything more than Josh.
That's a very good answer. But thank you everyone in the chat who came on. I appreciate you guys. That was the preview and the fantasy tip show ahead of Gameweek 6. A lot of Champions League games this week, a lot of Europa League games, so anything can still happen. In case you're in the chat and you haven't joined my FPL League, there it is. The direct link will be in the description. And I'll catch up with you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Keep staying safe, and I'll talk to you later.